Hey Eljay,
Yeah?
I really want to see the new recap review. Where can I go?
Well, I'll tell you, little Johnny. If you head on over to vessel.com/the TTV channel, you'll find all of our content, recap reviews, mock spotlights, and more on Vessel a week early. That's right, a full 7 days before we release it on YouTube. Not only that, but content from tons of other creators all across the internet. In order to access it, you need to sign up for early access, which is only $3 a month. It's a really great deal, and it helps us create better, higher quality content. It gets you guys in on the loop a whole week early.
Wow! I'm gonna go sign up right now!
You do that, little Johnny. You do that.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
Sync. Hello, everybody, and welcome to
Mardi
the
Gras.
latest episode of the TTV Podcast.
Is that appropriate, Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
Not
Mardi
really.
Gras.
I mean, listen, you Mardi Gras for its life, Mardi Gras for its death.
Oh,
The saddest
So-
Mardi Gras of all.
We
Today,
found out about it in July.
Allow
We
me.
also found out-
You should have committed to the no parents thing. You just said darkness.
Marty.
But the parents
So
are right
today
here,
on the
Kahi.
TTV
Our child
Podcast-
just died.
in case any of you can't guess, this is not going to be a happy podcast.
Nah, honestly, yeah. This is gonna be a really bitter podcast.
I will give you a couple warnings to start this off. Number one, this is probably going to run long. I'm going to do my best to put timestamps in the description below so you can skip the relevant parts, but to be honest, I predict it flowing together pretty well. Let's go figure. Number two,
Bionicle's dead! It's
Yeah, that.
gone!
yeah, that. Number three, expect copious amounts of salt.
Yeah, okay.
And without...
Now that's really important to clarify here. If you're looking for the happy-go-lucky TTV where we do nothing but praise Lego and stuff, but this is not going to be that episode. Obviously, there's a lot of positive things to talk about when it comes to Bionicle G2 and its lifespan. However,
There's also a grieving period.
yeah. However, the positives will likely not appear until next week.
Yeah, this is the anger phase of the grieving cycle. You know?
Yeah, this is denial.
So if you don't want,
Yeah.
if you don't want to
No,
hear,
we're
the
not denying anything.
If you don't want to hear any negativity, you're in the boat where you don't want negativity to be spread or anything. This is not going to be the podcast for you.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean,
Additionally, spoilers for Journey to 1. So if
Oh,
you
yeah,
haven't
huh?
seen that yet, and you plan to, don't listen to this yet.
yeah. We will be talking about Journey to 1.
Because part of the whole spiel is going to be about.
You know, okay, what-
They tie
Here's
into
the
each other.
here's
Let's-
the first spoiler. It sucks. No.
Well, let's preface this real quick, okay? To anyone, if people are listening, possibly that had worked on Bionicle, or like an employee or anything, we understand there are a lot of constraints, and we thank you for the work you did. Obviously, Bionicle meant a lot to all of us, and we are partially, we are thankful that it was brought back in some capacity. In the sense,
incredibly great.
yeah, it's it was a great experience for all of us, and it really helped us out. But I want to preface that before we get into everything. I'm wrong. It's not necessarily anyone's fault, and whoever's listening to this, we're not like, yes,
Yeah,
this is this person.
I think we can all agree that for the most part here, everybody here was very satisfied with Bionicle G2, and it's in fact part of that reason that it was actually good and was showing promise that we
Right.
were so upset with how it
was
ended up
cut
going
down
out.
in its
Right.
prime.
So obviously we're going to go into more detail about our thoughts on that.
I don't think anybody wanted Bionicle to fail.
We've
Nobody
said it
wanted
time
that
and time
happen,
and
so.
time and time again. It's 99% certain that it was the upper management at Lego. Lego's Twitter said it itself. It's a business decision. Nobody on the Bionicle team
Right.
wanted Bionicle
Obviously.
in.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
even
plus,
like
usually Lego lines last for a good 3 years, and they have those 3 years planned out when it comes to like
Right.
the first
And
parties.
we'll get into
stuff.
all of that.
I just want to
After we
preface
introduce
that just in
ourselves.
case there's any like people listening in or kind of like this is like again this is the anger
Don't get
phase
offended.
of the grief
This
cycle.
is not
We're
a
like
witch hunt.
yeah, where this
I got some
do
stuff to
not
say.
yeah, and to fans that are listening, do not angrily tweet at people. Do not get mad at the community. Do not do any of the any outburst things that kind of followed when Bionicle was canceled the first time. It's no one's fault. It just happened, and now we're gonna talk about it.
Let's talk about that.
So, once again, everybody, welcome to TTV episode. I don't even know. I think it's 206. Yeah,
It's 206.
I got it right.
Nice.
Mardi Gras.
Hey, I forgot to do the introduction to this.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
get
I messed
into.
it up.
I'm Barteran. Nice.
I'm Eljay.
I'm John and Kahi.
And I'm.
Oh my gosh.
Well, listen, Kahi, you gotta commit. You can't be like Lego. You have to commit.
All right,
Don't
listen.
go half-heartedly.
I'm just saying that now people are like, "Who's John?" And then people are like, "Oh, I'm making sure people know that I used to be Kahi, and now I am John."
Cool. All right.
So, here's the deal. I guarantee that if you're listening to this episode, you probably know what's going on. But just in case you don't, here's a recap. Journey to One Season 2 came out on July 29th. It was 2 episodes on Netflix, and we watched them. And when you watched it, you could tell there was a certain sense of finality to things. But we all did not really know what it meant for the future of the theme after we first watched it late at night on the morning of the 29th, I guess, early morning hours. So we all went to sleep. We woke up in the morning, and LEGO released a press release on the official Bionicle website and Facebook stating that Bionicle would be discontinued and that the summer 2016 wave of sets to tie in Journey to One would be the last set that we would receive for the theme. They went on to say that the Makuta set was not actually going to get released, and that the Mask of Ultimate Power was not actually going to get released in any form whatsoever. And they also went on to say that instructions for the Makuta model would not be released to the public, and they also said that, well, you get the gist. It just goes on and on.
Yeah,
and
it's a
on.
long string of things.
There were some other facts we learned on Twitter, namely that there's not any kind of construction theme planned to replace Bionicle in the immediate future, at least according to LEGO's Twitter. They could always have some surprise thing in the pipeline that they just don't want to reveal, but according to them, nothing's planned immediately. And that the return of Bionicle cannot be ruled out for the future.
Right.
Well, that sounds familiar.
Possibly come back
Deja
one
vu.
day.
Basically means it's dead again.
Yeah.
Like, for good.
Well, I mean, we said that the last time.
Yeah, that is Lego speak for it's an option for the future, but only not for the foreseeable future. So
It's a
I hate that
non-verb.
phrase so much. But that's really where we're looking at. Later on in the day, Dorek over at Biosector 01 Wiki posted an open letter regarding Bionicle, and it included some information that he had garnered from his trip to Billund way back when, earlier this year. And some things we learned from there was that it was implied to the people at that event who actually got to see the second season of Journey to One that the decision to cancel the theme was probably made midway through production of the Netflix series, and that rewrites occurred to the ending to make that cancellation tie in, I suppose.
Right.
To properly end the series, they had to end the story earlier than they had planned. That's really the gist of it. The only positive thing about all this is that the art books, there's like 100 copies of the art book, and it's going to be distributed to fans via like contests and stuff. BSO1's got some. I would guarantee BZ Power probably has some. Lego
it would
has
be
some.
a fairly solid assumption that BZ Power has at least some.
Fair notice, we don't have any, in case anyone's wondering. We do not.
Yep.
And
we
if
did.
we did, I will be honest, probably would go out to less. We love you guys, but
Listen, if we
I
had
love those
some, we
art
have
books.
more than fudge, I guess 10.
Yep.
So,
But
yeah, I
we
mean,
would
so
like,
definitely
lucky.
give some away if we had the access to do so. But
I
I
just wanted
will
to be on
say,
that. Yeah.
if anybody ends up winning one and I don't, let me know. I might have
Yeah.
some dollar signs in your future.
Oh, dude, I'll let you know.
that's the thing we're looking at for Bionicle. That's basically where we're at right now. The state of the theme is how it is. And the only thing really to talk about first is Journey to One
Yeah.
itself.
I think Journey to One is that's
Hashtag Journey to Done.
Journey to One is
Journey to Done.
Journey to One
Okay,
is
so-
how we sort of opened up here towards the ending and sort of was introduced to how Bionicle was going to end. Yeah, it's definitely the place to start.
If
How
I
do we
may,
even approach this?
I've very
Well-
carefully. I have one thing to say first. Volta, the team behind Journey to One, did an outstanding job.
Very admirable.
Journey to One was fantastic. It was well animated. While I was not exactly on board for all of the voice actors, I think they did their best. I enjoyed that we got it. I'm very appreciative. With that out of the way, please continue.
If there's one thing I can gush about, it's the art style for Journey to One.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Everything I didn't know I needed in my Bionicle up till now. I didn't realize how much I would actually like that kind of cel-shaded look, especially some of the shots in these last 2 episodes. When Umarak was raising the mountain and all the Toa and Akimu were like standing in the cliff face overlooking stuff. There was some good cinematography
Yeah,
here.
especially in these latest 2 episodes. The just
Unfortunately, it wasn't enough.
the color palette in this episode was these episodes were really well done. The
Very well done.
models were obviously great. The scenery was really great. All the work. There were some great shots, especially with
Really good shots.
with like the portal like kind of rising out of the ground, and there's like a
Right.
great camera angle there.
Like a straight up out of a Marvel movie. It was like that blue light going up in the sky.
Yeah, Volta did a great job. The people behind Journey to One did a great job.
Right.
The show, it really disappoints me, especially because as we were wrapping up episode 1 of season 2 and going into the last episode,
good.
I couldn't help but think to myself, wow, I really hope Bionicle's not canceled after this, because I can easily see this being an actual TV show if it was given a real budget, because everything in that show just showed so much promise. This just being season 1 could have wrapped up nicely. Give us another season where it's actually like full-fledged with more episodes. Could easily see
13
it working.
episodes.
Just like what happened to other Lego themes.
Exactly.
They had a pilot kind of a run, and then they got a full series ordered.
Could easily see it working. Even the voice acting and the audio was better in these 2 episodes than I felt it was in the last 2. It was all mixed much more appropriately. Everything sounded great. Everything
I remember
looked
there were a
great.
ton of awkward moments in the first 2 episodes where it seems like the camera lingered for too long and there was just silence or whatever, and that was basically gone this time around.
I think they were still present in season 2, but
There were
nearly as
It
much.
wasn't as obvious, I guess.
I don't know. There was that one scene where
was a lot
Tahu
more
gets
cleaned up.
grabbed by the 2 beasts and like
Okay,
gets-
yeah, fair.
yeah, that was pretty weird. That was weird pace wise.
For me, there's nothing as bad as when Tahu in the first 2 episodes was flying towards Onua's stupid Earth creation and
It took
smacked
forever.
himself in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrible
That's
I've
thing.
seen a
good.
trend here. I think we just need to keep Tahu out of this.
Yeah, well, he's out of it now.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
that was that
But,
was
I didn't
really
need that.
weird.
it was really good.
Journey to...
It was really good.
Yeah.
The pacing was also really well done up until a certain point, and that
Episode 2.
once you get to that point, you know you kind of have some weird things start to happen, and you start you start to see the threads of what's to come, and you're like,
Episode 3, Destroyer's Game, was really solid, I felt, even though it was basically an action episode. The only thing that I didn't like about Episode 3 was how they just kind of had Akimu transform and never explained anything about his transformation whatsoever.
It's so
But Meso, he's the Toa of Light, didn't you know?
No, he's just an old mask maker.
a mask maker that wants to help.
Who cares about giving actual in-universe, explanations for things happening?
transformation
No, let's make a
is so
G1
superfluous.
reference.
He literally just like, there was a door that turned him into a higher powered up version of himself.
What
He's
I
just like-
find really funny is that he tells Anua, because Anua, he breaks from the battle, leaves his friends to pretty much die. He goes upstairs, talks to Akimu's like, "Oh, what are we gonna be doing?" And Akimu's like, you are going to go leave the creatures behind and go and fight
The
Umarak.
time for unity is over.
The time for unity is over. Also, I will join you when I know where we're going. No less than 5 minutes later, he apparently walks into the door, turns into Toa Akimu, walks out, and joins the Toa. So I guess
Yep.
in that time span, he figured out where they're
Yeah,
going.
where he was going.
He also was like, hey, this is a cool thing that like powers me up and gives me a lot more power to face whatever's on the other door. Should I tell the 6 other people that are going with me about this?
And
they don't
nobody
need
even
to
comments
know.
about it. Nobody asks. They're just like, wow, you've been busy. Like, I understand if he got new gear, but his entire color scheme's different. He's like twice as tall.
I don't think anyone's gonna
think that
look at
would
him and be
merit
like,
a
"Wow, that
question."
paint job though." Like, no one's gonna
Yeah.
care about that.
I mean,
It's like if I spoke to you guys one day, and then I saw you the next day, and you were 10 feet tall. Wow, you've been busy.
yeah, but we also don't live in a Bionicle universe. Like, I mean,
No, we
to be
don't.
fair, I think Akimu's transformation is probably the smallest problem
It's
I
one of
have.
them.
Well, I mean, to also be fair, Toa had transformations that was never explained in story.
Right.
That just
Oh,
happened.
dude.
And I mean, like, Akimu's got the mask of creation. I don't really know how that mask of creation works. I'm just going to assume that he's able to use that to help create his
Everyone
armor.
just kind of accepts, oh, Mask of Creation, it
gonna
can
say-
literally create everything. Okay.
I would have bought that, but the Mask of Creation wasn't what did it. It was a stupid gateway.
Yeah,
That's true. He
Mask
didn't use
of
his
blue
mask.
Jello.
Mask of Blue Jello.
It would have been. It would have been like kind of cool had he taken off his mask like Takua and put on the masqueration, and then he turned into
Yeah, that
the
would have
Toa
been good.
Akimu kind of character. What's his official name?
Doesn't have one
it's just
now.
Akimu.
Akimu, the mask maker.
Yeah,
That's-
it's
yeah,
not. He's,
that's,
it's not even a Toa form. It's just Akimu.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for reminding me about that. Journey to One kind of decided that a couple of set-related items weren't canon in any capacity whatsoever. Now, this isn't the first time,
Nope.
but if you guys do remember, you get Akimu the Mask Maker, and he comes with a gunmetal and orange Umarak mask.
Oh, yeah.
And all the beasts come with certain masks from the Toa that kind of are mixed with lime.
Yep, they're supposed to be corrupted, I guess.
Remember
and,
the story relevance?
Yeah,
Never
nah.
appeared once.
I thought
They have
at
joined-
one point that they were gonna kind of do something with that. They took Tahu's mask, but then they had that weird, awkward little
Never
bear
happened.
hug going on. And
Oh, such a weird scene. I got no clue what was going on there.
So those four masks have now joined the ranks of the Golden Mask of Skull Spiders and Kopaka Master's corrupted mask in the realm of non-canonicity.
But really quickly, back to Akimu and his form. My problem with it isn't so much how it was introduced or delivered. It was when he actually got into the fight, and he was sitting there, and he was standing there in his new form after showing up, and you're
And he
expecting a big epic showdown between him and Destroyer, and instead he just raises up his arms. His stupid bird runs into him, and he just does like some light effects or something, and then it's gone. It's just gone. And he got rid of the whole form.
That scene is honestly one of the most confusing things. And Vin, I think you remember, because you watched it with Meso and I.
Yeah.
You remember how I was building that up?
Yeah.
Like, okay, Ben, I hope you're ready. This is going to be awesome. I hope you're expecting something cool.
I
Because
really
so were
wasn't.
we.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
we felt.
It was stupid. I don't.
It was so bizarre.
And it goes to show you like just how weird the pacing and the structure of episode 2 was. It's really clear. It's really evident that something was awry in the making of that episode.
Yeah.
Yep. Ikimu did nothing. Okay, well, episode 3 was fairly good, if I had to say.
Yeah. Episode
Um,
3, I really enjoyed episode 3. It was like there was so much cheese in the
lot
dialogue
of
and
cheese.
everything, but just
The
seeing the
siege on the
Toa
Mask
fight,
Maker
seeing all
City
the
is my favorite set piece from GT
yeah,
so
seeing
far.
that set piece and everything else is
Yeah, that city was really
cool.
great.
It was pretty cool.
The protectors with their little... Not even, well, actually, no.
Oh, the
Where were
protectors!
the
The protectors are
The
my
protectors
favorite.
weren't there. The villagers, I meant to say. The
Yeah,
protectors never showed
villagers.
up once, except at the end. Why is that, huh? That would have been the perfect time.
Dude,
for
the
them to all
villagers,
come in and do
the villagers
stuff.
were the best. They were like coming in, beating the crap out of like all the little beasts. It was
Yeah, that's a
amazing.
good scene.
It was like, oh yeah, they can handle themselves. What, punk? Huh? What you got? Hoppa, hoppa. It was great. I loved it.
Yep, I loved it quite a lot. But I do have a problem with episode 3. Before we actually get into like the problems with the ending, I got a problem with the beasts, and I'm hoping maybe you guys can explain this to me.
Okay.
Umarak puts on the Mask of Control, which takes over his body, mutates him, morphs him into Umarak the Destroyer, and then Makuta tells him you must raise the Shadow Horde. So he flexes his fingers, and suddenly elemental energy comes up out of nowhere, 3 different kinds. There's like the earth stuff, there's lava, there's lightning. Shadow traps jump into it, they turn into beasts. Yet somehow their weakness is masks. I have 2 problems with this. One, first of all, how is the weakness their masks if all they are is charged up shadow traps with elemental energy? Their masks have nothing to do with that. And secondly, how did Umarak get the power to do
Mask
this?
control.
And what is this?
Mask control.
It's the Mask of Control, not the Mask of elemental
No, okay,
vortexes.
I think
that-
like the mask of
create-
control like turns things into like stuff that you can control. So when he
Mask of transformation.
sure, okay, but like
If it was the mask of creation, I could buy it because it was creating the beast army.
well.
But it's
Here's
not.
the deal. I feel like the
Well-
mask control like turns. The reason why they turn into the mask is that they give up their current form to turn into something else. It kind of makes slaves out of him.
Well,
So like
I would also say,
the thing is though, the shadow traps are already under Umarak's control. Mask of Control or not.
Yeah, I honestly, I would say what happened was maybe the Mask of Control, under the influence of the Mask of Ultimate Power, was kind of what boosted up the creation of those creatures.
That's also possible.
I don't think it's solely just the Mask, because it's obviously not just the Mask of Control. Otherwise, Umarak the Destroyer wouldn't be the Destroyer. There's more to it.
It was really weird because there was also one singular Quake beast in the Shadow Realm later on. I saw him walking along. I didn't understand that. So yeah, maybe it is.
Oh, it
I
was
think
an
that-
Easter egg.
That's just a show thing. I don't think that was canon. But
Yeah.
I
Maybe Makuta's
I understand
influence.
the confusion, and honestly, that entire sequence is really confusing. I had no clue what the heck was going on at all, or what Umarak's plan was to bring Makuta back, or what contributed to what. There was one section where like they're talking about how he still needs one more shard of the mask,
Oh no.
and then like. I don't know what the solution was, but Umarak was like, "No, I don't need just the shard. I will steal your weapons instead." And he
What?
like,
Yeah, he's like,
and he
your
grabs the
power
weapons
is a
and
part of me
chucks
or
it into the
something like that.
vortex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, what just happened? And I guess
really stupid.
that was enough to bring Makuta back. I don't know. I have no clue what was going on there. It didn't seem like there were any rules at all. They kind of just made stuff up
It was
as
a
they
bunch
went.
of
Just
dumb stuff.
load together, I guess.
Makuta was like, you need 5 parts of the mope, and then Akimu was like, you did not collect enough pieces of the mope. And Umarak was like, no, but you've infused me with your light energy, and you made the difference, ancient one. And then he grabbed the Toa's weapons and chucked them in, and then later Umarak got absorbed, so suddenly it's based on energy and not the.
It was
It's so
weird. It was really weird.
It's like it's bizarre because after that scene where Akimu is like, Agil, no, we must combine and give everyone hope for Unity Form.
Dude, when he did that, I was like, yeah, Kimu's Unity Form, it's happening.
Like, it's gonna be awesome.
And
But
nothing.
then it wasn't. But the weird thing is, like, he got sucked down to normal size, and he's like, I am weak, and the Torah like, yeah, but so is Umarak. No less than 5 minutes later, Umarak's like, you imbued me with your power. I am strong.
Wait a second. Okay. So
What was the point of that?
maybe Ikimu really is evil, and he used that to give Umarak his power, so that this Toa could be sent away.
Well, now we'll never know. Now we'll never get that confirmed. No. Huh.
Yeah, who are we gonna ask?
Listen.
Not Greg.
Listen.
Yeah, what if? No. What if?
What if?
What if they did a bait and switch like they did with G1 and Akimu is actually placed inside the Makuta body? He was just trying to get out to save the world, but Makuta was in the Akimu body, and Akimu just successfully banished the Toa back to their realm and took over the island.
To be honest with you,
Wow.
that's what I thought they were doing when
didn't
Akimu
think so.
said Makuta was not the only one banished to the Shadow Realm. I thought it was going to be like, oh, the
Oh.
real Akimu is lost in the Shadow Realm. But no, it was just stupid Golly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like,
With her
I
powers.
just
Freaking
smell an
golly,
autopsy
figuring
here.
out everything through destiny. It
I
was
mean, okay,
all
think about it.
prophesized.
Think about it like this, okay? Why is there a Shadow Realm to begin with, and why is Makuta trapped there? It's because
because they were
Ikimu
playing
sealed him
with
in there.
Yu-Gi-Oh cards too much.
Like Ikimu smashed the mask, and that created a rift in between the current world and the Shadow Realm, and it sucked Makuta into it.
That was another thing we were talking about when we were watching it. We were all sync viewing it. We saw it at the same time. Was that when Makuta puts on the mask, he doesn't do anything evil at all. He just stands there with the mask on and grows a bit. And then
Yeah.
Akimu is what actually causes the cataclysm when he jumps
Yeah.
over and knocks it off.
I remember we were discussing the second graphic novel and how we were kind of wait, no, it wasn't the second graphic novel. It was the third
Third.
book.
No,
Yeah, the third book.
Wasn't it the second graphic novel?
No, it was the third book, and we were discussing how it seemed like it was retconned our belief that Makuta was well-intentioned.
Right, yeah,
It
yeah,
just
yeah.
didn't work out for him.
That was the book.
And the book kind of went against that. Well, Journey to One, they went with the whole he was just well-intentioned.
Yeah, but the
Things
mask
like this
corrupted
work
him.
out.
Third
He was
book,
just
Kulta and the
jealous
Underground,
and-
though?
It is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not the prequel story, but in the third book, it was revealed that Makuta, all those years where him and Nakimu were fighting the Skull Raiders, he was making
Right,
underhanded
right,
deals
right,
with them
right,
and
right,
trying to
right.
Right,
take
yeah.
over the island.
Yeah.
They could retcon that if they cared, which
Maybe
they
he was
don't.
trying
They
to
could
form
very
an army to
easily
fight
say.
Ikimu.
Yeah, or maybe
right
he was
now-
just trying to like mess with them to get them to leave the island alone and like isolate
Right.
them.
Maybe. But Journey to One Day did not go with that. They went head on with what we had wanted, which was Makuta being well-intentioned. And they actually had kind of an abridged version of the second graphic novel.
I love
Kind of-
that scene.
Almost scene for scene. It was very accurate to the graphic novel.
Looked cool too. It was really well done.
Yep.
It
when
is
they end,
great.
the tree grew with the fruit, and then he put on the other mask, and it burst into flames.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty neat. It was also
That was my
cool to
favorite
see
part about
that
that
like
episode.
villagers could use mask powers. I didn't know that prior.
That was cool, but it was also really stupid at the same time. I
Yeah.
love when Makuta handed the protector the mask, and he just casually does like crazy magic tricks and makes things grow out of the tree. And he's just like, "Yep, that was the thing I just did. Here you go."
Oh yeah, no, this
Power
one
of
works.
fruit
Oh,
growing.
yeah, I've had one like this
This-
before. That's pretty good, man.
This begs two questions for me. First of all, if all villagers can use elemental masks, why is it only the protectors that have them? And second, if the masks worked, they did do as they were intended. So why not just have two villagers with one element per villager working in tandem?
From
Wouldn't that
what we're to
accomplish
learn
the
about
same goal?
masks so far, I believe the protector masks are the mask of the elements. They're the masks of the 6 elements, and those are status symbols. The masks that Ikimu and Makuta make for the villagers are masks that do tasks, like a mask of fruit growing,
Mask of
mask
speed.
of crop harvesting,
mask of speed and mask of
mask
strength.
of speed, mask
Yeah.
of strength, stuff like that. And Ikimu's masks worked better. Makuta's masks were more shoddily made, and Makuta was trying to make better masks. So, and to use this example, if Ikimu has a mask to grow fruit, Makuta wanted to make a mask that would grow bigger fruit. That was basically what he was working on. His whole
I
pet
see.
project. And I don't know, as far as the elemental thing, the whole mixing of elements thing is really stupid to me anyway.
Yeah,
Like,
it
before
basically
now-
got completely discarded at the end
So,
anyway.
so you're telling me that up till now we've heard it's a sacred law to not mix elements because they'll be too powerful. Okay, fair. But now you're telling me that if you mix fire and stone, you're not gonna get a hot rock, but you're going to get an interdimensional rift between space and time to the shadow realm.
Okay, let's also be like kind of clear here too. They do say in the episode that you can actually mix all the elements into one mask. Makuta wasn't good enough. Like he didn't have like whatever.
He did all 6.
No. He said like Ikimu just said like
that is a good
yeah.
point. Kahi is bringing up a good point.
If my brother's heart
He just
wasn't
wasn't
evil,
skilled enough.
then it might not have corrupted him. But because he was, then
Well, the corruption's one thing. I'm talking about like them saying you make a portal to the shadow realm. Akimu says it specifically by combining the elements.
I know. What I'm saying is that like
I don't
I
understand
mean,
that.
possibly
But,
there might
yes.
not have been
Two-
one made.
To be fair,
Yeah.
the mask itself didn't actually do anything. It's just when it was
broke.
broken.
Right.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the shadow realm seems out of left field anyway.
Yeah, I was
Because
about
it
to
was.
say because like even then the whole Shadow Realm thing, just kind of going back to that is just it was all confusing. Not even just the whole opening of the portal or the mask pieces that they needed to bring Makuta back. Because the entire sequence made zero sense. Like for whatever reason, Golly needed to die and go to hell to like fix the thing or read the prophecy for some reason, which I don't know why that happened. I also don't understand why Makuta, who has the prophecy in his freaking bedroom practically.
Right.
I don't understand why he can see that and then go out in front of everybody who lives in the Shadow Realm, which, by the way, who the heck are these people that live in the Shadow Realm? Anyway, goes
All the
out,
villagers that were in the city, presumably.
talks to them, and is like, gives out his whole evil plan to everybody without a care in the world, as if he doesn't know that Golly was meant to be there.
Right.
Wait, what? You're right!
Yeah, that's what I'm
And
saying.
also-
He knows the prophecy. He knows that Golly's supposed to go to the Shadow Realm. So why is he just shouting his plan and letting her know it?
And literally, he's like,
Because it was
yeah, it's a good thing that the
prophesized.
Toa don't know that secret thing that's totally going to happen. That
What secret
conveniently
thing?
I'm not telling anybody, but it's totally here somewhere. So if someone was here to be able to look at it,
Let's
fortunately,
just hope
that's
that
not
she
happening.
doesn't find it.
Right.
Yeah, well, so what I was thinking was maybe Makuta isn't a believer in the prophecy. Like maybe he was doing all that, going like, "Oh, Ikimu will never tell the Toa about the prophecy because they've never achieved their true power because he promised he wouldn't tell them. And maybe he just wasn't a believer in it.
He was like, well, here's the thing too. This is never. I mean, Ikimu's character's always been sketchy, right? Makuda's like, Ikimu would never tell them. He promised, and Ikimu's like, well, I promised, but here's what's gonna happen. He's like, you completely broke that. Ikimu's character is so sketch this entire way through.
I don't understand why Gali had to die and go to the Shadow Realm to find the prophecy when Akimu knows the prophecy. Why couldn't he just tell them what was going on or what to do?
It's the prophecy.
Because the prophecy said she would die.
The prophecy is
explained
stupid.
Why. He actually said why he wouldn't tell them. It was a dumb reason, but he did say why.
The prophecy and this mysterious temple of light and the mysterious creature of light, it all reeks of last second editions, and I don't like any of it. Especially not the prophecy of reading the script, which I hate with a passion. I feel like there was too much focus on it in the last 2 episodes, and it completely took me out of everything that was going on.
And it's really great, though, because that whole scene, that whole thing, for Gen 2, it really reignites the whole discussion, well, do they have free will?
No.
Nah.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Apparently everything just falls in the line every time. It's all meant to be.
Yup.
Everything is just pointless.
Even down to the finest detail, like Umarak got mutated, and Umarak has spikes, and Gali goes through the Shadow Realm portal, and all this crazy stuff. It's just way too unbelievable. Who wrote this?
Anybody notice how the creatures were conveniently absent, like completely at the end there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
where did they go?
They were guarding.
I
They were
noticed.
guarding the city of the mask makers. Remember?
From what?
Yeah, but
From the shadow.
they were guarding it from the Beast
Horde.
Army, but I could tell it wasn't actually an in-story reason. They needed a way to get them out of the way so they wouldn't be on the Toa's backs when they went up to the stars. They could have very easily said, oh yeah, remember those other guys? Who's going to protect the city? How about the people actually named protectors of the city?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
they didn't need to have the creatures do it. They only did it because if they wanted to say, okay, get these guys out of the way. They've served their set function. Now the Toa, it's time to shine.
I mean, like story-wise, it also is pretty bogus that like there's another prophecy about how all the Toa are gonna die, and that's never mentioned.
Yep.
It's like imagine we're
bad
at Brick
enough.
Frame, like,
Alright.
hey Meso, do you remember that prophecy of traveling that says we're gonna die in a car crash? You're like, what? And then we die immediately in a car crash. But then you get brought back by the paramedics because you had to die
it was
for
prophesized.
some reason. Yeah, because it was prophesied.
They
Stupid.
prophesied
Yeah, listen.
the exact way you'd be
What
brought
I'm about
back.
to say is pointless to talk about because we all know this was like a last second edition. It
That's
was
why
like-
we're gonna talk
they,
about
They
it.
rewrote the ending, but I gotta point it out. It's a plot hole. Ikimu up till now has got all of his knowledge from the Mask of Time because the creatures were there as an omen at the Festival of the Mask, so he put on the Mask of Time and saw what was going to happen in the future. That's how it's been set up till this point. There was also the Prophecy of Heroes, which he then recounted from that knowledge and told everybody else, the Toa are coming, here's what it was, here's blah, blah, blah. But now there's this other prophecy from the Temple of Light, which we've never heard of, recorded millennia ago, that says everything that both Ikimu and Makuta knew.
That's true. Actually, it also states. Okay, here's the thing. That makes no sense too, because Ikimu couldn't have had the Mask of Time tell him the Prophecy of Light before the Prophecy of Heroes, because it tells him that Makuta's going to turn evil. He doesn't realize that Makuta's going to turn evil until he has the Prophecy of Heroes. There is no time for him to go and carve that prophecy. Maybe he saw it, and when he's doing the Prophecy of Heroes, he got the Heroes and Light in the same one, but he can't have, because he goes and he fights Makuta immediately. He doesn't have time to carve out the Prophecy of Light into the Shadow Realm, or
Yeah,
the place.
it makes
yeah,
no
where the
sense
Shadow
at
Realm's
all.
going to be.
Absolutely.
Who made
no
these
sense.
stupid
It's like,
prophecies?
who made these prophecies and who made the carvings?
Yeah, like where did these come
beings.
from?
This is all just another great being experiment.
I love the
At
idea.
this point-
I love the idea that like all these different worlds are just kind of like vaults from Fallout, and they're all the great.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like
Yeah.
the great beings are just like the freaking.
I think of it as like the Rick and
Vault
Morty episode with the pocket
Vault tech, yeah,
dimensions. Like,
I don't know. Anyway, episode It's really disappointing. The stupid Golly thing happens, I guess. I don't know. She comes back from hell and she's like, "Hey guys, I've seen some stuff. We gotta kill her.
This is the stupidest thing ever that I've ever seen.
We have to commit to our destiny and kill ourselves to end the suffering of what? That's a lesson. That's a lesson to give your kids, right? Just give up and kill yourself.
Kill yourself
to set things right.
Okay.
Self-sacrifice is what makes heroes. Everybody.
I mean, like,
Well,
wow.
Technically,
That's not
It's
wrong.
the willingness to sacrifice yourself,
Okay,
which we already
so
covered in 2015.
This is this is pretty much the ending of it. Almost the ending. There's one other part.
Yeah.
But the Toa, they sit there. They go to this like huge mountain, which they acknowledge they cannot draw elemental power from because it's not from that world. They go,
hate
"We
Hey,
can't
hey! By
use
the
our
way,
powers."
really quickly, you know what would have been a great solution to battling the Destroyer in a place where you cannot draw elemental power from? By bringing
bringing
the
a couple
freaking
jars of dirt?
no, by bringing the freaking creatures with you. Anyway,
Oh yeah,
That's true.
continue.
that's a good point. So they sit there like, we can't get our elemental powers. They use their weapons. Umrak takes those and he throws them into the portal. We don't have our weapons. Let's keep fighting. And when they're pretty much all said and done, Galley comes back and they're like, don't worry, guys. I got some great news. Remember that thing where you couldn't use your powers? Turns out you can.
Totally
you just
bogus.
Didn't try hard
Yeah,
enough.
totally bogus. Guess what?
Yeah.
You are the power. You don't.
You are the-
You don't control
the way this
fire.
is
You
handled-
are fire.
The way
Which
this
is-
was handled
okay.
was one of the most mind-numbing pieces of
That
dialogue
was
ever. They were like,
ridiculous.
I
They were
just
like,
realized
okay.
something. I swear.
what?
They,
What'd you realize?
Galley said, we don't draw our element from the planet draws the elements from us. And at the very end, they get sucked up into space. So does the planet no longer have elements and is now in a state of decay?
Well, I think the idea is that it's drawing out the elements from them, like from the stars.
stars.
Yeah.
But like,
okay.
how? So were the elemental creatures first, or did they draw their powers from the
Yeah,
Toa?
I don't know.
What about the creatures?
I
They
have
were
no clue.
supposedly
It,
deities that were birthed when Okoto
It doesn't
was,
make
of
sense.
course.
And none of it makes sense. Listen, it's stupid.
Also,
I mean,
birth.
The stretch
Are
of
planets
dialogue
birthed?
here was just
like.
the stretch of dialogue here was like just awful.
terrible.
Because they were like, we cut off from the elements. We draw them from us, not the planet. Do we have the power? We do if we believe.
yeah, I mean, like
We have the power.
You just didn't believe
the
enough.
concept of the Toa not actually controlling the elements, but are instead embodiments of the elements, is actually kind of a cool idea.
No, I like that.
I actually like that a lot. The execution and the way it was delivered to us through this dialogue here was so piss poor that I just cannot fathom who the heck actually greenlit this script. Who read this? It was like, that's how we're gonna end Bionicle.
That makes sense.
Hey, you know what?
It also
What'll make it
contradicts
better?
with what we've heard prior.
You know what? I bet the fans will forgive it if we throw in some classic dialogue. Let's give them that. Oh, how does it go again? Duty, unity, does it?
Duty,
You couldn't even
unity,
get the order right.
Okay.
You
that makes me
couldn't get
mad.
the order right.
It's hilarious because with that at least they tried, but I guess just like the Toa trying to use their elements, they didn't try hard enough. Because I love this quote. Former moderator of ours, Crunchbite Nuva, he said it on a chat on.
No, I
Skype.
said it first. I said it while doing the episode. Come on. If you're gonna
Listen, I heard it from
Just
him
get to
first,
it.
and he said they took UDD and turned it to dud.
How did you do that? Come on.
Just like Gen 2.
They were trying so hard to do their like parallelism where they had all 3 years. The first year it was our duty to awaken Akimu, and the second year it was unity with the creatures, and the third year it was a destiny. Plot twist: there are no 3 years, so it doesn't matter. Get the order right. It doesn't matter.
Well, they didn't know that when they said the first one was duty.
They botched
But-
it.
To
They
be
botched
fair,
the whole
it also
thing.
contradicts. It contradicts what we've heard prior, not the UDD thing, but the elemental thing. Because I thought the whole thing, the big difference this generation was, the Toa, they don't have inherent elemental powers all that much. Their powers, they have some power, but their mask is what gives them the elemental powers. You got to get the regular mask, that gives them power. Then the golden mask gives them more power. But are the elements tied to the masks, or are they tied to them themselves?
Tied to them.
Could they operate the elements without their masks? Would it be as strong? What do they need the golden mask? What about the
Yeah,
creatures?
literally the
How do those
masks were
work?
unimportant because the power's inside them all along.
Yeah, but you say that, but then Leo loses his mask and suddenly he's passed out and weak and he can't do anything. So what is it?
So yeah, where's this power then? Where's your god now?
It freaking makes
They'll
no
probably
sense.
try to spin it like it hasn't been unlocked yet, but really it means it hadn't been written yet.
That's literally it. Yeah. God, I can't believe Duty, Unity, Destiny. I can't believe they did
It's like they
like
they tried like almost to give us stuff. They're like, dude, you need Destiny, right? Oh, and Toa of Light. Am I right? Just kidding.
That's what they like, right? That's some nostalgia pandering, right? They didn't even do the nostalgia pandering, right?
It's like it was
it's amazing.
written by wannabe fans. It was like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's like-
I used to love Bionicles when I was a kid.
It's just amazing
How did
because
it go
like
again?
it was so close to being right, but also wrong, and ended up spelling out dud, which I think is just so representative of the entirety of Bionicle G2. So close,
Yep.
but at the end, still a freaking dud.
So in the end,
How does it end?
how does it actually end? What is the last thing that we end up seeing?
There's a
guys?
6v1 laser battle while Makuta
Right,
is
right.
barely emerged from his portal going,
I'm coming. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I guess not. No, bye. Ah!
This
like literally, it's just. I really think this was a pitch for a Ghostbusters reboot. That's what that was. Was like the beam shooting into that ghost coming from the Shadow Realm.
listen,
and then Makuta gets banished, the Toa go back to the stars, and one more bit of nostalgia pandering. This is the legend of the Bionicle.
awesome.
No. They didn't even do that. This is the legend of Bionicle. They didn't even
Yeah.
have the
This
This is the legend of biological
this
Kron.
scene would have been really, really cool a year from now. You know, like seeing this after next year, where the Toa finally unite to defeat Makuta by combining their elemental powers into one thing. That would have been great because that's what we got in 2001 too. But
Yeah.
the way it oh god, it's just
Okay, I mean, part of the thing is like the prophecy of light in G1. If there is a prophecy of light, I believe it's the one.
There's not.
Well, I mean, like I would say it's basically saying that there would be a seventh Toa. It's a prophecy written on the Evohi that is translated.
The Evoke.
maybe you know what? I forgot about that. Let me go ahead and see if it's named that.
Yeah, I don't think it is, but like
they're similar.
That,
enough.
I would say that would be if we had a prophecy of light in G1. That's what I would call the prophecy of light. The prophecy of light in G2 has nothing to do with light.
yeah, I don't get it either. They
Literally, like there's no,
yeah.
there's no like it's basically the prophecy of exposition because Golly went so she could find
It's
exposition.
way too detailed to actually be like a prophecy. Prophecy's supposed to be like mysterious and
dude.
cryptic.
It's like they
it has
just.
something to do with light.
It's like the prophecy is actually just the Bionicle story Bible translated.
I mean, that's basically what it was. It says everything in vivid detail.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like
Yeah,
the prophecy of light is just the plot light. You know, like
So
you have like
into
Miller
light
light. Yeah, it's just
16.
Bionicle
The
light.
Toa will defeat the Makuta, and in 2017, Lego will no longer continue the series, and instead we will have more Lego City. That is the prophecy of the Bionicle.
Yeah, I swear this is like somebody. This is like someone on a fan forum writing Bionicles try and run a house or something.
Nice. Where was Agil during the rest of
I think he died when he merged with Makimo. I think so. Honestly,
Yeah,
he
he's-
disappeared after that.
Where was he before?
I don't know.
Well,
He's probably
okay,
dead. That's the answer to both questions. Where was he before? Dead. Where
Listen,
did he go now?
listen.
Died.
The answer to your question, Meso, is who cares? Because Lego sure as heck doesn't.
Ouch.
Oh.
Ouch.
Okay, are we
Maybe-
getting
well,
into that now? Are we
maybe
gonna
he
get
was
into the whole Bionicle?
I got one more
ending?
thing about Journey to One to talk about, and it's my biggest problem with the entire
Okay.
show.
Yes.
And
okay.
with
I
Bionicle
love
as a whole.
this. I
All
love
right,
this.
I've shared this with Eljay already. My biggest problem with Bionicle, now that it's over G2, I've had a lot of stupid complaints over the last 2 years, like not enough world building, not the same voice actor, all the animations. Here's my biggest thing: the Toa did not win the battle, because let's think about this: when Bionicle G2 began, the island was under siege from a Skull Spider army and Makuta's minions. Makuta was trapped in, I guess, the Shadow Realm, now that this exists. It was created in the 11th hour. Bionicle G2 is now over. The Skull Spiders are still around, probably. They didn't get banished to the Shadow Realm, and Makuta is still trapped in the Shadow Realm.
Like nothing.
And the Toa know this. They know what they're doing because Onua says to Makuta, in the name of the elements, we banish you to the Shadow Realm. But that's where he already was. The Toa were not called down to Okoto because Makuta was out and about rampaging through the island. They were called down to Okoto because his minions were rampaging through the island. His influence was strong enough to have an army when he was trapped in the Shadow Realm. He can do it again!
Literally, you're so right. They basically, maybe Ikibu's around and the creatures are around.
Maybe, okay, yeah. Yeah.
But no, you're
Yeah,
right. You're
but-
right. Like they literally, like they don't banish him anywhere.
Creatures
They
are-
literally just stop him for a little bit.
I knew they weren't gonna kill him. It's a Lego theme, but they could have done anything else. They could have done what they did before: put him in a Toa seal, encase him in rock, encase him in the elements, freeze him for all eternity.
Yeah.
It would have all been fine if Makuta had actually escaped, and then they banished him from the Shadow to the Shadow Realm again.
Yeah,
the fact that
really.
he never even made it out makes the entire thing feel so completely pointless and stupid. And once again, and this ending would have been great a year from now.
When they had-
Why weren't we given our third year?
Because I guess it's just
Okay.
sold
Because
so
at the end,
abysmally.
at the end of the day, Var, sales were fine. It did well.
All right. You know what this feels like. You know what this
yeah,
feels
right.
like. 'Cause so we all pretty much accept that this story was just cut off down in its prime and everything. See, here's the comparison I made because I tried explaining it to a couple of friends.
Bring it.
I was like, it'd be like if the Marvel Cinematic Universe started with nothing but Iron Man and Thor, and then ended with the first Avengers movie, where Thanos, Galactus, and every other villain in the Marvel Universe is nuked alongside all of the Chitauri at the end of the movie. Oh, and no hero dies. All of the good guys live and prosper and all that, and Coulson gets revived at the end of the movie. And
Even more,
then they
like,
announced that the Marvel movies are canceled for good.
And then Spider-Man comes in and says, "Boy, with great power comes great ability." How does it go again?
That's basically what this all feels like.
No, I mean it's even worse. I would say it's like imagine if they only had Thor and Iron Man, and they had the Avengers movie, except the villain was Justin Hammer. And then that's all. It was like Justin Hammer, and he's trying to open a portal to the sky, and that's it.
No. The villain was the Mandarin.
Right there we
Except
go.
it turns out to be Guy
Makuta
Pearce.
never
Never
Killian. Yeah,
even
Guy
got-
Pearce is there.
It's time to shine. Makuta never even got to like be a villain. It's one thing if he was an actual set. He didn't do anything.
Okay, let's talk about that. Let's get out of Journey to One.
All right, Journey to One. It was an okay effort. It
That's
was
only because of
clearly
the
cut
ending.
down
Yeah.
in its prime.
It's like it's
It was clearly altered. They clearly pulled in a swerve in the 11th hour and rewrote the entire last episode. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, they
But
did.
for what it was, 3/4 of it were good.
It's a shame because you can tell what they were trying to do. You can
Yes.
see what was meant to be next year's story kind of merged into this year's story.
and
it's-
man, it would
Yep.
have been really
And then the
good.
butchery that
It would have been great if they actually got to do their full plan. It would have been amazing.
it was a well animated, well cel shaded train wreck.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the extraneous stuff, the stuff that has gone on outside.
Well, I mean,
So
I cannot believe
I can't believe the way they're
that
handling
what we're
this.
actually faced with, it was bad enough that we had to accept that Bionicle was probably only going to last 3 years and that it wasn't going to go on after that. Because when they said that, we all kind of pretty much knew they're planning this for a 3-year line. Odds are, unless it outperforms, it's going to end after the 3 years. It was bad enough when we realized we probably weren't going to get that last year. But it's okay, guys. We got a Netflix show, man. We can have a Makuta set, maybe. It'll be a great finish. It's bad enough we don't even get the Mask of Ultimate Power.
We don't even get the three freaking legendary masks they promised.
Yep.
It's like we got the
How
one,
hard is
which
it?
is awesome. We got the second, that's fantastic. And then we saw Lego employees with 3D prints of the third.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're not even real molds or nothing. They're 3D printed.
They're not.
Okay, so yeah, I think this is
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
disclaimer.
yeah. This is actually something that I don't think a lot of people know. But for as far I don't know where you can learn this, Lj, but I remember this was said from someone.
Aerobricks. I
I'm gonna go
Dor-
find the
it wasn't
post.
Dork.
I'll correct you.
Wasn't
if you-
Dork the one
I'll
who
correct
said it
you if
right?
you misspoke. Just go
Okay.
ahead and yeah, it's Dork.
Yeah, Dork said
Again.
this. Once again, Dork was Biosector 01's ambassador who went over to Bill and Lego and was talking to them. He was the one who knew about the ending before anyone else did. According to him, the mask of ultimate power that they are using in the promotion right now, and that they are giving away in the contest, the Makuta building contest, is
They're
not.
giving it away.
They aren't.
No,
No,
they're not.
They're
That was
not.
never
That's
the
the
plan.
worst part
They're
about all
not
this.
even giving it away.
No.
No,
Dude,
the,
we are.
the
we
prizes
are,
for the
word
Makuta
for word,
contest is an art
never
book.
getting this mask.
It's an art book and all the G2 sets. The mope is not being given away anyway.
Never mind. Doesn't even matter. Okay, I was about to say, well, guess what, everybody? Those aren't even real masks. They're 3D printed. But it doesn't matter because it's not like anyone's getting it anyway.
Yeah, in fact, Dork even said LEGO wasn't allowed to give the masks to any of the people that came out. I don't remember the reasoning, but they just weren't allowed to give them.
I'm trying to find the
Can't
post
you,
right
That's
Okay,
that is ridiculous.
like-
I can't.
Yeah, basically,
The
everything's
main
been saying
freaking
for-
villain in this whole freaking saga, we don't even get a piece of him at all.
Well,
He
we
doesn't
got-
even
we got-
appear in the story.
we
He
got the
pops
mask
up for
of
2
control.
seconds and then it gets banished away. We don't get the.
All right, yeah.
Oh.
He didn't use the phrase 3D printer, but what he did say was they were made using a rapid prototyping machine. And that's what he says. The few that exist there were, for legal reasons, they weren't allowed to send one home with the fan
For
groups.
legal reasons.
For legal reasons. And he also mentions they had one in black, like in the show, which he hasn't seen in the images they've released.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, we can assume that it was 3D printed. We don't really know, but that seems like the kind of
That's what they do for prototyping.
like
You know,
yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
yeah, that makes sense.
So really, they did not make. Everybody has been saying online, oh man, they even made a mold for this, and they
Yeah,
have
okay.
no.
They didn't even make
They
a
did
mold.
not do that at all.
Didn't even get to
They
that
probably
point.
only did it to have a frame of reference model for Journey to 1.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So, I wanna keep this in mind when we get to our whole what do we tell the community thing at the end,
Oh, yeah.
because I have an idea, but yeah. So we're not even gonna get the mask at all.
I can't
in no way.
believe it. It's the worst possible outcome.
No.
There are all these different
No.
doomsday
Meso.
scenarios.
It's almost the worst possible outcome. But don't fret, though. Because at the very least, we've got a really cool combiner model of the villain that I'm sure LEGO will post instructions of on their website for everybody to download and be able to build themselves. Because at least that would give us some kind of finality and some physical form of the main villain of their series.
Yeah. You know what? That's that is.
Except they're not even gonna do that! Ah!
I don't understand. I don't understand. How is it that it's
Yeah.
that bad? That it performed that bad? Okay. We can't get a final ending for the story, final year, fine. Can't get a final set? Okay. We can't even get the final mask? Fine. But we can't even get instructions for the combo model that you use.
I mean, okay, like I can see everything else uses some huge part of like the resources. Obviously, another year it's a huge bit.
Instructions can be generated
like,
in
you know,
LDD.
Like literally, it's a PDF. You can't spare us one PDF. Like you look at just do us one favor and give us one PDF.
It's like
It's disgraceful.
I wholeheartedly expect. I honestly believe that what they did is, and the reason they aren't gonna do it is because they made those models and almost immediately took them apart and didn't save any record of how they were built.
Except there is an entire record that was freaking modeled and animated in a freaking TV show!
Never mind that. That is a great
the one they
point. The
canceled?
other thing is, we do know which sets were used in that build, and it was, correct me if I'm wrong, Meso, Tahu and Onua Uniter, Lord of Skull Spicer,
Spicer.
Spicy. Anyway, Lord of Skull Spiders, both Umarax and Quake Beast.
Kulta as well, Mask Maker versus Skull Grinder.
There you go.
I don't think it was Quake Beast, but he may have
Okay.
been in there too. But either way, yeah, those are the sets anybody has. They can easily make Makuta.
I could do that right now.
Assuming,
If I
assuming that
had
you bought
some
all the
instructions.
sets. But,
Dorek has already said he has pictures that he took of the Makuta model, and he's going to try to upload them all into a gallery eventually, probably when the Makuta contest goes live or a little bit after, and hopefully the community will be able to reverse engineer the model from those pictures, at least mostly, especially now that we know it's a combo model. They will
absolutely be
I'm
able to do
pretty
that.
sure somebody will do it, and also, I'm sure somebody in the community is eventually going to do what LEGO did not, and put the moat
Shoot,
up
I
on
might just work
Shapeways.
on it myself.
Yeah.
Well, not the Shapeways thing.
So
Yeah,
it's
I
going to
mean-
be expensive. Shapeways is costly, but if people want that as an avenue, I'm sure it will exist.
Yeah, but it's stupid that we have.
It is stupid.
We don't have any official capacity of obtaining anything Makuta related except for the Mask of Control. Like, it's just.
I would have
It's
settled for that
ridiculous.
rapid prototyping model. Being like, hey, if you want to print
Yeah.
this out yourself, here you go. Also, here's a PDF if you want to make this. It's all we can give you guys.
Right,
Sorry, we
I
don't
would
have
have
that
settled
budget, but
just for the instructions. That would have been enough. I would have been okay with that.
Exactly.
But we aren't even going to get that.
I don't understand.
It's ridiculous.
I don't understand how Bionicle is that bad.
I mean, okay, I
Yeah,
would.
how bad did it have to perform for
I
Lego
don't
to just
know.
like do that?
I mean, like,
Because from what we hear, if they say Dork says the implication was that it was canceled midway through the Netflix series production, which would place it in 2015. Probably on the later side, probably around the summer, fall of 2015.
no,
if
I
had to
mean,
guess.
I would
don't know
say,
for certain.
I mean, probably mid 2015.
Mid 2015. Only one wave would have fully been out. Maybe the
Which
Skull Villain
I
was
personally
coming
thought
out
would
early.
be their best-selling wave is the 2015 initial wave.
Yeah.
So
Guess
I
not.
mean, I'm not sure. A lot of people were excited for that. There was a lot of hype. I remember that. I mean, I remember that season we were going out and trying to get
There was
those
also
sets.
a heck ton of publicity. It had top billing at New York Comic Con.
Not enough.
Well, okay,
Nope,
I'm just
must be
like
canceled.
I don't know how much Lego was expecting it to sell, but it had to
Right.
probably sell less than Hero Factory.
Hero Factory had 5 years while also dealing with massive amounts of community backlash. There was no hype for Hero Factory. People hated Hero Factory.
It also had its own TV show.
Bionicle got a year. Bionicle technically got 2 years. It got 2 full waves. But to be honest with you, it only lasted 1 year and 1 year and a half.
Year and a half.
1 year, 7
Yeah.
months was really what it lasted. Which is about almost a third of what Hero Factory got.
That's insulting.
It's absolutely incredible. And Var, you got into a little bit of a discussion on the message boards because you thought that if they weren't going to, go all in and put their all toward this, they shouldn't have done it.
Well, I mean,
Is that right?
yes.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah, I listen. So I was kind of getting criticized because on the MB I posted my opinion on the handling of Bionicle, and to me, this entire ordeal just seems like a complete wasted effort by Lego because at no point were they ever willing to actually fully commit to making Bionicle a success. From the very get-go, it was really clear that Lego, corporate Lego, once again, it needs to be said that Lego itself is a very large corporation. There are many different people involved in Lego from very different levels of the company as a whole. So once again, there are many people in Lego that obviously care a lot about Bionicle, right? They brought Bionicle back because, hey, they care, at least. Or, I mean, they could see an easy buck being made. Who knows? Regardless, they brought it back.
Not enough easy bucks.
Not enough easy bucks, yeah. Regardless, they brought it back. However, it's very clear that people higher up were not enthusiastic about bringing it back because at every single point in time, it seems there were always some kind of restrictions, some kind of gouging of the budget, something that would limit the line from its full potential that it should have had to begin with. This used to be...
The writing was on the wall from the moment of its inception at the Comic-Con panel when they were like, it will get a minute and a half long online animation.
There you go.
That was your first clue.
That was the first clue. Right from the get-go, it's already been limited down. From the very beginning, we knew that they were not putting their all into it. And it's a shame. And to me, it seems like a wasted effort to have gone through all this process to promise the fandom and the community that they're going to deliver an entire new story with Bionicle attached to it, but not commit to actually giving the financial backing it needs to thrive. To me, that's a complete waste. Why even bother doing that if you don't actually want it to work?
Right.
to me,
The excuse that we were given, and we've heard over the years, is that we want to test things, we want to go in easy, and we want to see how
and
people receive it. But now what we've learned is that it was canceled before all that stuff they were testing even finished airing.
right, they were already ready to cancel it before we had even finished half of the year of 2015. The first wave had just come out, and they were
Probably
already,
we don't know that for
planning to-
sure, but yeah, that
We don't know
the
that for sure.
timeline.
I would wager, I'm pretty positive.
The problem I have here about the entire thing is that I feel as though Lego should have been more transparent about the entire part. The transparency of how Bionicle is being handled is the most frustrating part for me.
Right.
From all levels. From the point where they're promising a line but not willing to actually deliver on that line, promising a story, a new world, new characters that they aren't actually willing to devote time to fleshing out or building or making relatable at all, to a product line where they're not willing to promote it at all or market it at all or even make good commercials for it at all. We used to have animations commercials for the line all the time for every single set by Blur. It was crazy promotion that they did for Bionicle. Remember
Blur?
Ghost, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Remember in 2006 when they did that kind of soft reboot with
Yep.
BIONICLE? All the promotion that was made for that line was
Oh, yeah.
ridiculous. It was on magazines, it was in commercials,
Buttload of it, dude.
music videos, stuff. Where was that? None of that was here at all.
We never even got a TV commercial for the Beast Way.
There wasn't even a commercial for the Beast Wave.
never
They
even
didn't even bother trying to promote that. So they weren't willing to promote it. They weren't willing to financially back it. They weren't willing to reduce the restrictions that they put on the line. So at every point in the process, they didn't want it to succeed, basically, and they advertised it to the community as though it was meant to actually be something successful, when they never had any intent to make it successful at all. So it's ridiculous there,
Surprised that
and
it's performed how it is.
and even then, even after they've released it, they still aren't transparent about how well it's performing. Even to this day, after they've
Right.
canceled it, they're still on Twitter saying, "Oh, well, it sold well." So did it sell well or did it not? Can you just drop the corporate BS and just give us a straight answer or some kind of metrics?
Wait, did they actually say that? I never saw that.
Yes,
They did.
They said it sold well on Twitter.
That's the
They said
dumbest
it
thing
sold
I've
well.
ever heard.
It's the
obviously
dumbest
some
thing.
variation. They said obviously some variation between different sets and different markets. Between some sets will sell better than others, some places will sell better than others. But yes, they said Bionicle products sold well generally. I'm like, come
No, okay,
on.
that has to
Just
be BS.
tell us.
No,
Just
okay,
tell
you're
us
right.
if it
Go look at
sold
it,
bad.
Kahi.
Like,
Go look at that right
Lines end all the time for many different reasons. Doesn't just have to be sales. But this is not a regular line ending. This was a theme that was already only promised for 3 years, being cut down after a year
Right.
and a half. Something had to happen to shake that up. And from what they say on Twitter, these are their words, not mine, it was a business decision. It was not something done to spite the Bionicle community, and business means product
Right.
sales. So how can you then turn around and say it sold well? You cannot do
Lego
that.
used to be really good about giving some of their metrics as far as sales go too.
Right.
Like they're no
used to do it
stranger.
all the
Yeah,
time.
they're no stranger to actually giving out like information regarding how well a system has sold, how well a theme has sold, that kind of stuff. We've had those numbers before. It's been really frustrating dealing with Bionicle G2, especially for us. It's a channel that focuses on sales, business moves, especially related to Bionicle, when they have yet to give us any kind of concrete numbers or performance on the line at all. And so far,
And that should tell you right there that it's not doing well, or else they'd be bragging about
Right.
it on their.
Yeah.
so it would be great
all
if
you
they
can
would
do.
just say, "Yeah, it didn't sell as well as we thought." But
Right.
even to this stage, even after they decided to cancel it, they are not willing to give us a straight answer on anything. And that's how it's
Listen,
been the
guys.
entirety of its run. From the moment
If the Lego
2015
Twitter's
started.
wrong about this, if the Lego Twitter's wrong about this, what else could they be wrong about? Maybe the mope is getting really
Wow.
Don't say that. Don't say that. People will run with that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous that
It's very
they
sad.
can't give their fan base just a bone at all when it comes to figuring out what's going on about their favorite line.
Yeah.
They won't
Not a single
Bionicles.
one.
they won't tell us anything.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
No, I think what infuriates me is them saying it sold well. Obviously, either it didn't, or you're stupid. Those are the two things. If you canceled, either you canceled a very well-selling series because you're an idiot, or it's just not selling well and you're lying to us. I don't understand. Like, what are you trying to say here? I mean, obviously, you don't want to say that, oh, this thing performed poorly, but you're canceling the series. By now, it's okay to be like, hey, this didn't do as well as we thought it would.
It did not meet expectations.
It did not meet expectations. Yeah, there you go. That's good enough corporate BS.
Yeah, exactly. And now when Generation 1 ended, they were like, well, it plateaued, and then it's been on a slow downcline, and we want to take it off shelves before the name gets worn out with
exactly.
with
They were very
retailers.
upfront with the original cancellation in 2010.
Right.
They
were
And
very
there's
very
a lot
clear
of
about why it was
Right.
canceled.
Right, and there's a lot of reasons going into it that they gave, and we're like, well, you know what? Sure, I get that. That makes sense. The plotline was convoluted. They felt that there was too many confusion about continuity, and it was hard for new fans to get into, and they're like, all right, no, that all makes sense.
They all gave us reasons why it was canceled.
Right.
Here,
What about
who
this?
knows?
Here's a crackpot theory, and I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't be anything optimistic. Just running this by you. Does this sound plausible? What if Lego was like, we messed up. We did not start the theme off right. We did not kickstart it with the amount of hype that it needed to actually be successful with a full TV show, and it's too little too late. The Journey to One isn't catching on because it's already so much into the theme's lifespan. We need to take this off shelves, and then in a few years we'll try again.
No. I don't think we're ever.
absolutely.
I don't think we're ever going to see another Bionicle set sold anytime soon. If we do, I mean, I'll eat my words. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, you've done it once.
I think I think
doesn't need
what
to
once
happen.
you've tried once and you failed miserably, I don't think they're going to try it again.
Well, I mean, no, to be fair, though, we have different reasons for why we think it failed than what Lego might. I think, like, there's a level
enough.
where, like,
Fair.
we, as fans are like, the reason why we think it failed is not because of the sets. And if you look at the community talking about it, no one feels that G2 was bad because of the sets. Almost every post would be like, even though it had great sets, this was wrong. Or even though it had great sets, you
The
know.
sets are definitely universally loved, although there is something maybe there with the sets. that
Some
there
of
may
them.
have
Some-
been.
some of
Because,
them.
for instance, I guarantee what probably happened. Well, I don't know. I'd guess what
Thank you.
probably happened was that all of the budget. Yeah, I remembered our talk last week. I guess what happened was maybe that the Toa sets got all the love. We know that. They were always very well made, very faithful representations of the characters, and people bought them because of nostalgia or because they want their favorite Toa or because the Toa look cool. The Toa are the heroes. The Toa are the sets even kids just want to buy. They want to relate to them. They want to have fun with them. Everything else always felt like it did not have as much effort put in, per se, or as much budget put in. The Skull villains, Loss, the Beasts, even the creatures, kind of, some of them felt a little, The Protectors were solid, but they were also kind of clones. Some of them were. 2 were different than the rest, but they were fairly standard humanoids. It's hard to mess that up. And really, if the decision was made to cancel the theme midway through 2015, it's possible what happened was like the Toa came out, people liked them, the Skull villains came out, and it dropped ridiculously.
Yeah.
Because they just were not interesting. They did not have that white hot appeal that the Bow Rock did, or the Rock She.
and you would
did,
think
or
that
anything
the
from
decision
Hero.
would be after seeing sales and seeing that the villains are clearly the weaker link. You would think, oh, well, maybe we should put more focus on that to make that actually work.
Oh.
No, instead, let's reduce the focus on that and make it even worse.
Let's just destroy everything. Let's kill the whole.
It's just, I can't believe it.
But it's also a problem that Construction in general has been suffering from ever since Bionicle went away the first time. Because when Hero Factory launched, it had a budget of, from what I recall, it had 6 smaller sets, which were the heroes, the protagonists. Then the villain sets were larger. They were more imposing. They were more intricate. They were more well constructed. And there were 6 villains, 2 of those titans. And then there were also 2 Technic-based vehicles. That is 14 sets per wave. And over the years, as Construction's gone on and on and on, and I'm talking superheroes, Chima, Hero Factory, Star Wars, Bionicle, that number has gone down and down and down, the number of sets per wave, to the point where eventually the villains stopped being, say, larger than the heroes, more intricate. The sets were standardized. They dropped Technic vehicles entirely. They minimized Titans to 1 a wave, if that. Sometimes we didn't even get a Titan in the wave. And it's just gotten smaller and smaller to the point where the summer 2016 wave of Bionicle, the epic finale, is 5 sets, some of which aren't exactly the most well constructed ever made.
You know,
Yeah.
So I think it's an emblematic problem of construction as a whole.
I have to wonder what
Bionicle.
was the mindset going into Bionicle. I
don't know.
kind of mentioned this on my
love
post
to
where
know.
I was getting criticized, but like I kind of mentioned like how part of the reason I feel like this is they weren't able to commit towards marketing the line is because that no one in LEGO knew what they wanted Bionicle to be, right?
No, that's true.
Because
I think that's
no one-
that's the
Right.
biggest thing.
no one really knows, okay, so is this line meant for a new generation of kids? Or are we trying to market this towards the old fans, the older generation who, like, we can nostalgia pander to? And I have to wonder, like, because we gave Bionicle 2015 a lot of credit when it was initially launched about about how, like, okay, maybe Hero Factory was a trial run and they were just, you know, they were just kind of practicing up until they felt, you know, secure enough to release Bionicle again. What if that wasn't the case at all, though? What if Bionicle literally was just a cash grab? Like, imagine a scenario here where we've got Bionicle, the sales are declining, so they decide to make a new line instead to replace the line, Hero Factory. And it starts off pretty strong, too, but at the end of the day, it's still declining, and there's no hope of that ever getting back to the point where it would be stable again. What if the mindset here by corporate LEGO was, well, maybe we can then revitalize the construction theme by bringing back Bionicle with the new fresh coat of paint, and maybe that will get enough people to come in and boost up construction sales. Maybe Bionicle really was just meant to be kind of, you know, a shot of adrenaline to try and
No,
yeah,
that's
try and boost
definitely
it up.
it. Because Bionicle failed, and they're not doing construction anymore.
Right.
Yeah, they
That's
said
it.
on Twitter, I don't know if I can trust this LEGO Twitter person, but if we're taking what they say at face value, they said they have no theme
I mean,
planned to replace Bionicle.
Personally,
currently.
I feel that is, like, I've always thought that was kind of the reason. Right now, Bionicle is the last huzzah for construction. Bionicle was failing in 2009, and they said maybe it's the story. So they rebooted it with a different building style and different, easy to get into story. And that started to decline as well, so they're like, okay, maybe it's just the building system we have. Maybe nobody wants this. Let's do one more round. We'll do Bionicle again. We'll see how that goes.
Right.
And possibly,
So-
they could have done, like, Star Wars could have been part of that, too. Do a very prominent license theme. We'll do a fan favorite theme. We'll put it out
testing the
there a
waters to see
little
if
bit.
construction is still viable.
Yeah, just to see if this like line of figures.
Which, once again, kind of goes back into my initial point, where no one at LEGO knows what they wanted Bionicle to be, because it seems like the higher-up people with Bionicle were trying to sort of revitalize the construction line, not Bionicle, the construction line, and to do that, they used one of their older IPs to make a new theme that they were hoping to bring in new kids. Whereas the team behind Bionicle and more of the people that were actually directly involved with it were more focused on not necessarily nostalgia pandering, but bringing more
trying to recapture that spirit.
trying to recapture
Right.
the Bionicle spirit, more focused on kind of bringing back the initial Bionicle wave or feeling and market that towards existing fans and with the hopes of bringing in new people. But I think there are two sides here where there's the one side of LEGO that's really trying to make Bionicle again, and the other side that's just trying to make construction successful again. And they're just using the Bionicle name to try that.
I mean,
And I think that there's these conflicting ideals that sort of contributed to why everything here just seems like a big mess, where either they can't commit to advertising it properly, or they can't commit to promoting it properly, or financially backing it properly, or getting really anything to be consistent at all, even down to the freaking story material that we're given, from the books to the graphic novels. None of it's consistent.
Website blurbs.
None of it's consistent because
Magazine.
because no one
sentences.
knows what the heck this line was supposed to be.
It goes all the way back to our interview with,
Ryder Wyndham.
I believe it was Ryder Wyndham who said that the story Bible was constantly being changed and added to the point where it was hard for him to even write a
I
story.
smell,
Yeah,
I
it's 'cause
smell
Galley
a
kept on
Bionicle
flipping
autopsy
through it.
coming in.
Yep, Bionicle autopsy.
what killed Bionicle?
Failed.
Again.
Again. This will, I mean, no, we were like Bionicle autopsy. Lego killed Bionicle.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so what killed it? You killed it. No, Lego.
Well,
killed
this
it.
okay.
Yeah.
Part of
Yep.
it too is
Everyone killed it.
Bionicle has always been this a mixture of sets and story. It was one of the first story-based line Lego had. It had all that stuff going through it in terms of getting a story, building a world. The lack of world building, I feel, was what really killed this line this time around. Even comparatively to the amount of like media we had back in 2001, we had like what, one book? Maybe not even a book. Didn't the books come out in like early 2002?
Yeah, the
3.
books came out in 03.
03. So basically we had like the Modern Nui online game and the commercials, which is less than what we had for G2. But the world building in those early games were so strong that we were able to give like a fan base something to, attach to, something to grow on.
Yeah, exactly.
Form
It's
around.
it's that Bionicle had an identity from the get go, and this time it's just kind of like it's all over the place.
Right.
They
Well, you
didn't
know what it
settle
was?
on an identity for Bionicle. They're just kind of like, it's here. This is a
That's
thing.
right, and I think that is absolutely deep-rooted in this conflicting attitude towards what Bionicle was supposed to be, because Bionicle G1 had no expectation. They were able to just throw things at it and see what worked and see what didn't, and were willing to experiment with that line and make it something special.
Absolutely.
Here, there's this huge expectation for Bionicle to save Construction, because it's an established theme, and, they're trying to make sure that, like, this big name can revitalize Contraction again and everything. But
Personally.
it all goes back to just what do we want it to be? Because I feel
it seems like that Bionicle bringing it back was like
I've-
you guys are saying, just a big test in of itself to see like what would work for the modern day Construction line. Nothing was working well for Hero Factory, so like you guys said, it was like, oh well, Bionicle was doing well. Maybe it's just the Bionicle name.
back.
The Bionicle name will help us
Right.
do what we
And I
want to
think
do
that-
with Construction, but that didn't even end up working out at all.
And I think that's directly related to the story content that you were mentioning, Kahi, because right now, once again, going back to my conflicting argument here, narrative thing that I'm stringing up here, is that corporate Lego, higher up Lego, their focus is selling toys. It's not to tell stories; it's to sell toys. Right now, if Bionicle is in a place where it's supposed to be the savior of Construction, right now Lego doesn't care about a story, they're just trying to sell toys. And I think that is a responsibility that G1 did not have. Because at that point, Lego was basically done. There wasn't any hope that they would be saved. Bionicle kind of just happened to be a success. It happened to be a hit, but there was no guarantee that was going to be a thing, so it didn't have the responsibility, the pedestal that it needed to be on to save Lego. They didn't, so they could focus more on the story and adding those elements, because what else is there to lose?
Yep.
Here we have a very successful company, and there's a lot to lose. So do we continue wasting money on Construction, or do we focus on system? Well, the answer's pretty freaking clear right now, because Ninjago is booming and it's an evergreen theme, and Bionicle got canceled after a year and a half.
And here, we've been talking about this a lot recently. And fact of the matter is, Bionicle would have been great as a system theme. It would have thrived. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to hear that. They consider Bionicle to be Construction exclusive. But it's just the way it is. It would have really worked beautifully as a system theme.
It's unnecessary.
Ninjago needs to go. I am
Ninjago's
tired of seeing those little ninjas.
Nah, Ninjago's great.
Get out.
Ninjago's fantastic, and it's what Bionicle should have been.
Yeah, really.
Absolutely.
We all wish
Like,
that
it was-
Ninjago had been Bionicle.
That's why I want it to go.
Just because it goes,
just because I'm petty.
Like gonna pop back into the show.
I am petty.
It just got
Let's bring
canceled.
Chimo.
I am
Let's
incredibly
bring
petty.
Chimo back, guys.
So petty. You're like you're
So
wanting.
petty,
It's like you're like
right.
I want my
Ninjago.
stepdad to go away so my real dad can come back.
But he's dead. He's dead.
I think,
Lego killed it.
Oh no.
That's a little dark.
I think it's important for to remind everybody listening to this, though, that as we've complained, Lego's very not transparent when it comes to what's going on with Bionicle, and a lot of this is all speculation. We have no concrete.
There could be fact.
Yeah, we've got no concrete information to anything, and that's part of the frustration here is that we don't know. No one knows.
Never will.
Yeah, probably maybe a couple of years from now when they're a bit more okay with giving some information on a dead line that's been dead for years. But
we can interview some people and be like, real talk, what happened to Bionicle?
yeah.
Yeah. Additionally,
Yeah.
let's not beat around the bush here either. We understand what Generation 2 did for specifically the TTV channel. We get that.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
But just because we are grateful and we invested so much on the line personally as individuals, and we followed it so heavily and intently, that doesn't mean we can't criticize it.
I really dislike that that idea that because we benefited from the outcome of something means that we can't dislike the outcome as well. That's honestly that's a really weird mindset to have and kind of an upsetting mindset.
We are more than managers of a YouTube
Right.
channel. We're fans too.
Right, like
This is kind of our thing.
if there was an alternate world where Bionicle was an absolute success, but I mean we didn't make TTV or whatever, then like as a fan of Bionicle, personally, I might have preferred that. It's like it's great that we were able to sort of build the channel out of, you know, the revival of this line and sort of get to where we are now, and I'm grateful for that. But I still want Bionicle to be a success. It's a shame that it had to end up like that,
Right.
and it's a shame that
Yeah.
now we are here talking about one of our favorite franchises ever that will likely never see the light of day again.
I got that bad feeling of deja vu.
I know.
You ever get that feeling of deja
It's
vu?
like-
And please, for the love of everything, you don't need to remind us. We don't need constant reminders, okay? So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We already
I
get
don't
this.
I don't think anyone's forgetting that we've got 29,000 subscribers on our channel. No, we know that.
Yep.
We understand that, you know, it's not all bad. And for all intents and purposes, like there's been a lot of great things that have happened. Obviously, the revitalization of the Bionicle community is amazing. The fact that we've got a successful message board with like tons and tons of people that visit it daily.
Yeah, several hundred people visit daily. There's a ton of posts that get posted. It's
Yeah, that's amazing. That's all great, and there's a lot of good. And obviously, the people behind Bionicle, especially those directly involved in it, did care. They tried their best to make something good out of the cards that they were handed. And I think, like, obviously, it might not. This episode probably doesn't seem as fair as it could be, but it's not either. As we stated at the beginning of the episode,
very biased.
as we said at the very beginning of the episode, this is going to be mostly negative here. We'll get into the positives maybe next week because we're running out of time. But like, there's a lot I feel to criticize, and I think justly criticize.
right.
Yeah. However, at the same time, there is definitely a lot of positive aspects. There are a lot of positive aspects to the situation, because we do need to keep in mind, Lego lines, on average, they do not get an ending at all. Usually speaking, whenever a line runs for more than a year, it doesn't get an ending. Exoforce, for example, 3 years, no ending. Nothing. We don't know how it ended. Bionicle, in both cases, has been given an ending. That is very unusual for any Lego theme.
That's true.
Hero Factory never got an ending.
Exactly. It was left open. It was actually left on a cliffhanger. That's horrible.
3 consecutive cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Hero Factory is a special kind of terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know if
A lot of
Bionicle's
wasted
worse or
potential.
not.
So, Bionicle did get special treatment. It did get an ending. And that is
Yep.
a good thing.
Yeah.
We may not have liked the ending, but it did get it.
Oh boy, I did not like it. I think it was worse than the G1 ending, to tell you the truth.
Oh, much,
I mean,
much,
like
much
the story is worse than G1's story because again, this is a complaint I've had this entire time, but it really stands out now. I still can't write freaking fan fiction in this world. I can't. I have nothing to go on.
Nope.
None of the people
Especially
who are fans
now
of
that you
Bionicle.
know that the entire event
Yeah.
did not come about naturally. They were part of a prophecy.
Right. Now that everything's there, you literally can't, like, it's so hard to write any fan fiction because you don't know any of the rules. You don't have anything about the world. You have nothing. Look at how many creative things came out of Bionicle G1 because the world was so rich and you were able to do things in it. You literally can't put that same amount of fan effort back into Bionicle G2. It's impossible.
Challenge accepted. No.
Honestly, it might be a controversial opinion to have. I mean, but I've already said that I would have preferred them not do it at all, so I guess it can't be that much more controversial. I think if they were going to bring back Bionicle the way they did in 2015, they should not have even bothered doing a story at all.
Just do the sets.
Yeah.
Just do
do the
6 sets.
They should have just done sets. I don't think they should have even
Market
bothered.
them as collector's items.
Exactly.
Tribute
Oh,
items.
like-
I would like that.
Or like
That would have
possibly
been a preferred method.
possibly this year be like, hey, you know, Bionicle's 15th year anniversary collector's edition sets.
Exactly. That's what they should have done. Because it's obviously evident that LEGO was not confident in the line. At the very beginning, from the very beginning, they weren't confident in succeeding. They shouldn't have wasted the time, effort, the budget on trying to add the story that was never going to be
Was
fulfilling.
never gonna go
Right,
anywhere.
because-
was never going to be fulfilling.
I mean, I see where you're coming from too, because they could have tested out this initial line and see the fan reaction to it and see how many got sold, and then be like, okay, so this
And
is probably
then go
some,
to the story.
and then be like, all right, we're gonna commit this much, we're gonna get this TV show initially.
Exactly.
That would have worked out better for them because they didn't commit to Bionicle, and that's what killed it. It's like a relationship. Then
Yeah.
you don't commit to it at the start, it's gonna kill it.
Yeah. Except they
Yup.
should not have even had a story. They should have just released good sets. And that, especially since the sets are easily the best part of G2. Like, the sets are amazing.
Easily.
Those sets are some of the best sets we've ever gotten in construction. Just
I believe so
period.
as well. I think
Agreed.
the Toa sets, especially for this year, to me, are some of the best sets Bionicle's ever seen. And 2015 are some of the best sets Bionicle's ever seen, too. I think, I mean, it's a shame. I think they should have focused on the sets, left the story alone, not even bothered with this reboot or continuation nonsense at all, and just,
That we'll never know the answer to, by the way. Rip Volume.
yeah, Rip Volley, we'll never know. They should-
That's the
plotline.
biggest thing
Also-
that bothers me is that there's been all this nonsense building up the Mask of Time. Oh, is it one mask or is it 2 different masks? Is it one?
I mean, like, is
All
one?
that
I mean,
from
one's from the
very
beginning of
from
time
the
before
very
the universe.
Start, when you guys went to New York Comic Con, you got all that flack, and then all this and that. Oh, Temple of Time. Oh, we finally saw the Vahids in some of the animations. None of that. We're not getting any answers to any of it.
Yeah,
and it's
none of it
stupid.
matters.
It's
They
so
really
freaking
built up
dumb.
the Mask of
I
Time.
hate it.
They built up the Mask of Time like crazy,
Man, you need
and
to
it's
pull
like
that.
it's also.
It's okay.
I mean, like, I will never really know what happened with the Mask of Time or what's going on with that. But I mean, like, but there's like all those hints that it was from like a different place beyond the universe or before the universe existed, and it's just, and it's I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same freaking mask from G1. And why is that like a thing? And where did the Toa come from? Are they just like apparatus? Are they just like star beings that come down whenever they need to be, or are they?
And go right back up
Right back
again
up again whenever they-
don't do what
yeah.
they need to do.
So Makuta can continue to pillage the island.
It
I mean,
does-
because there's
it
two
really,
prophecies
really does bring to
undisturbed.
question, yeah, like why even bother with the story if it was barely a coherent story? Like we
yeah, they didn't care about it.
Why bother with the story if status quo is so effectively maintained
Right.
at the end of it?
Yeah.
It's like nothing.
It doesn't make sense. They should have just sold the
Ikimu's
sets.
awake. That's about the only thing that's different because the creatures were still around prior to the story starting. They were running around. So they woke up Ikimu. The end.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, before we start to wrap up, because we are running long, there's one final thing I think we should address in some capacity, and that is we should kind of just address the community. Like, where do we go from
Okay.
here?
This is gonna be a hard one. I don't really know.
And I got
I
to say
disagree,
something.
actually. I think this is going to be really easy.
Oh, okay.
I got something to say, but
Go
Eljay,
ahead.
you can go first.
No, please go ahead.
Oh, trust me, mine's gonna take a while. You go first.
You just want the last word. Okay.
I can go first if you want.
I'll go first.
Good grief! Just do it already. Go.
Yeah, just go. Please, you're wasting time.
All right, Meso, Var, Kahi, I'll go first. Okay. So recently, people have been starting up these petitions. Been through
Oh,
this
boy.
before.
I've
The
been
5 of
there
us here,
before.
we have already seen this happen. We've been through Bionicle Generation 1's ending. We saw all the petitions rise. Bring back Bionicle. Come on, give us that Matorn Universe set. The stars suck. So on and so forth. We get it. We've been there. We've seen it all before. This is nothing new to us. Don't worry about that so much. There are 2 things you guys need to be trying to do here. Because a set isn't going to happen. These petitions for a Makuta set, it won't work. I'll tell you right now, it will not work.
We've been
Because
to this
LEGO's
whole
already
thing
announced the
before.
cancellation of the line. They're shipping off the last batch of sets in the fall of this year.
They're not even going to go to
They're
Asia
done.
or Pacific. They're not even going to like get those sets.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Production is over. You need to stop trying to get more sets produced. They will not do it. Certifiably. I can say that with 100% confidence.
Yeah.
You have to assure them it's going to sell. You have to assure them that it's going to be worth their time and investment. You cannot do that, no matter what you do, because you're not the consumer.
And also, like, you could only have made this decision if you were a part of Lego about a year and a half ago. Right now,
Let me rephrase. You are the consumer.
Yeah.
You just, like, parents are the primary demographic.
Someone suggested ditch the petitions and do Lego ideas.
Not gonna work
Did they
either.
have the rule?
Lego will not
Yeah.
accept Lego ideas that are based off of their properties.
Yep, not gonna work.
So here's what you guys need to do. Two things. One is viable, one is a little unlikely, and maybe you could get it done. The first one, stop trying to get a Makuta set, start trying to get Makuta instructions. What you need to do is get instructions for that combo model. Lego can do that.
Yeah,
As we
that's
mentioned earlier,
actually
these
viable.
can be made in LDD. These are really easy to create. If they have the model still built, they should be able to make that no problem. So that way we can all build it, because it is a combination model based off of pre-existing sets that we pretty much all have.
Yup.
Second, and this is where it's a little bit more unlikely, get the 3D model of the Mask of Ultimate Power. Because even if we're not going to get an official Lego model, at the very least, we'll get an official Lego 3D model that we can 3D print. And there are some incredibly talented 3D artists in the community. They do great work with 3D printing. I've personally dealt with one myself. He's fantastic. He does an amazing job. There are tons of people out there who can do a really great job with that on Shapeways. Mafrock's a good friend of ours. He does that as well. I believe Crunchbite Nuva, maybe not.
Yes, he
I don't
does.
know.
He does.
We should try and get a 3D model from Lego. So even if they won't make it, we can.
and even if
That will-
they don't, I'm sure one of these three people, or one of the people that do the 3D modeling, will come up with something similar to that eventually. That is like a thing that fans want a lot, and it's a golden opportunity for you to, if you want to make some, cashola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Nice.
Bro.
You know, I just
you know
realized
it's
if they
Alright.
release those instructions, Lego will sell a good bit more sets.
They will. That's the thing.
I'd buy those
It'll
sets.
be-
Technically
I
speaking,
would
that
buy.
is
I would
true.
buy all those sets again just to make that combo model.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yeah,
I would do the same. In fact,
I'm already prepared to
if-
do it.
if Doric or anybody else in the community can actually make the model, I will absolutely rebuy those sets, and I will absolutely make that and review it. 100%.
Well, these are good goals for the community.
So that's what you guys need to do, because I've been seeing this on the message boards, not in a whole great capacity, but it's been mentioned several times. A petition for Makuta set, it's not going to happen. The production is over. You need to stop trying to get a new set made and start getting instructions released.
Yeah. And listen, while we're all kind of here for Bionicle, especially if you're a TTV fan, TTV was sort of the big Bionicle thing for a while there, despite being supposed to be General Lego. There are still quite a lot of awesome Lego themes to try and get into. I mean, like right now we've sort of been trying to bridge into system-based content for a while because we kind of saw this coming anyway.
We saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah,
We
but
saw the prophecy of cancellation.
Jelly.
yeah.
Red
Yeah.
rum.
And while it does suck that like Bionicle, which is I think we can all admit, is Bionicle is our favorite Lego line here.
Absolutely.
It sucks that that's gone, but like I said, there's still tons of awesome stuff that Lego produces that I'm sure everybody here.
I would
will
recommend
enjoy.
Ninjago.
Ninjago-
Ninjago's done.
Ninjago is very very awesome, very almost kind of Bionicle feeling sometimes too. It's a good.
Next to
good
Knights
line.
has got a good.
Additionally, Nexo
yeah,
Knight-
good.
Nexo Knights has got
Me
some
too.
great sets. I mean, if you really like building sets, you like making your own creations, and you like following story content, Lego still has things out there for you. If none of those other themes interest you at all, then well, I guess. But I think it is definitely in your best interest to try and see if there's anything else that Lego has to offer that you might enjoy.
I would definitely agree.
Because right now there's probably a big empty void for a lot of people. I think that if you try to branch out into other things, you will find it easier on you as a whole. Because I know
Broaden your horizon.
when G1 ended, there was a lot of people who were like, I don't know what to do now. because that was Bionicle was their thing and it was gone, and they were kind of out there without anything to attach to, no fandom to be a part of. The Bionicle fandom is still there. It's still kicking, and it's also part of the LEGO fandom, and I don't think there's any reason for those two fandoms to be mutually exclusive.
Definitely not. You should
Except
try
for
to
in the
broaden
eyes
your
of
horizon.
certain AFOLs. But
Yeah,
yes.
well.
Oh yeah.
So,
If I had to, what?
I thought there was one more thing I wanted to say, but I completely forgot, so please go ahead.
Okay, if I had to say one final thing, it's that definitely I would recommend branch out into others, like I was saying, broaden your horizons, expand your interests. But also, if I was to say, if we had to give a message to the Bionicle community, who right now, some of them are probably, most of them are probably very upset about all this, very lost, don't really know what to do. We've kind of been through this before.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of experience with the cancellation of Bionicle. TTV was actually formed after Bionicle was canceled. We kind of rose from the ashes a little bit. So here's what I would
we literally
say.
started like a month before they canceled it, and then like went into like as IBZP, and then went into TTV like after it was canceled. So yeah.
Yeah. Here's what I'll say, and I'll try not to take too long because we really got to wrap up in a minute here. But when G1 was canceled way back when, people were always trying to figure out like what kind of message, what kind of moral should we take from all this, and what as Bionicle fans should we do. And eventually people kind of agreed the best route to go is to devote all our time into making creative works, doing our mocks, doing our stories, artwork, videos, etc., in the hopes to show LEGO that the Bionicle community is still alive and kicking so that it may be brought back one day, possibly in the future. And that was kind of what people did for about 4 years
Yes,
after Bionicle
please
ended.
keep
And what do
doing
you know?
mocks. It gives me something to do too.
Yeah. What?
And what do you know? LEGO brought Bionicle back. And then they took it away 2 years later. So, should that same moral apply? Should you still try to constantly show LEGO that Bionicle still has an active fan base? I don't know. But here's what I will tell you. Bionicle is about a lot more than anything LEGO can really do at any given point. Bionicle is a creation of theirs that I think has a little bit more weight to it than a lot of their other themes. It's created a community unlike many things that I've ever seen or been a part of. Bionicle to me is about more than whatever wave of sets with gimmicky gear functions and masks is on store shelves at any given point. It's about a lot more than how many prophecies or Unity, Duty, Destiny name drops you can shove into any given 22-minute story episode. Bionicle to me is about the fandom. It always will be. That's the core of the theme. Bionicle is about people like Christian Faber, for instance, who worked on the theme for so many years and developed so many concepts and artwork for it and really shaped what it ended up being. It's about Greg Farshty, who spent so many years of his life not only writing the story, but also answering fan questions
and
about it on
still
message
answering
boards.
questions about it.
Still, to this
Still
day.
answering questions.
It's about Merlin Mann and Ryder Wyndham, people who worked through so many different hurdles to try their hardest to give us a story to actually relate to and connect with. It's about the fan sites like BZ Power and BSO1, who for so many years have been a place for fans to go to interact and also learn more about their theme. It's about us, who've been here for so many years trying to give entertaining content for you guys, to inform you about stuff, to be a place for you to connect with Bionicle, and it is about you, the individual who create, yes, you, and you, and you, and you, and you. It's about the mockists, it's about the artists, it's about the authors, it's about the content creators who take what LEGO provides you and makes it into your own thing. That's the purpose of LEGO. So no matter how many times LEGO will drag Bionicle's corpse out of the gutter that they've buried it in to try to shill products on shelves to boost their bottom line, no matter whether Bionicle's on shelves or not, you don't need to prove to LEGO anything anymore. What you do for Bionicle is about your own passion and your own love for it. And as long as that exists, Bionicle is not gone. It will never go away. All right. You don't need for LEGO to do anything anymore. And if I have my way about it, I'll say this on air, I do not want Bionicle to come back. Oh no! I want Bionicle to stay as a community thing.
Preach
Forever.
it!
Because that's, the community understands it, the community loves it. Nothing you do is any less valid than anything LEGO does. That's the purpose of LEGO as a creation. So
Meso 2017,
hey,
everybody.
Yeah, Meso, you're gonna have to censor me. Holy where did that come from? Oh my god. That was crazy.
I've been bottling it in.
Yeah.
I've been bottling this in for a day. I told you guys the other night. I was like fuming. I was like,
Oh
ready
my
to blow
gosh,
up.
what a speech.
That was. I feel like I'm ready to ride in the Mordor now.
Yeah, man.
It is not this day.
Whoa.
There will be a
Okay,
day when the
Meso.
fan base will be gone.
You know what? I appreciate that, Meso. Let's sign the Constitution now.
I'm talked out. I can't
These
talk.
truths
that-
we
yeah.
hold self-evident. No.
I think that's a good place to end it. That's definitely the message you guys should leave here with.
I would broaden your horizons. There's other stuff in the world besides Bionicle,
Also-
but if you
also-
really
also-
like
also-
Bionicle, you can do it yourself.
We aren't going anywhere. We're still going to do everything
No.
we're doing right now. We're branching out into other stuff. Obviously, that's just to keep everyone entertained. Keep in mind the recaps are going to end as per usual. I review everything, so you have that to look forward to as well.
Get hype.
Oh. And
We'll
yeah.
do our best to keep being a fixture, but
And obviously, this doesn't necessarily mean that Bionicle content is being dropped either. Like, there's still plenty of Bionicle
No.
stuff to talk about right now. And for how long that will last, don't know. We'll keep going for as much as we can.
I've been really enjoying stuff like the Brick Feed podcast.
Yeah.
It's been a breath of fresh air for me. So I would recommend if you're feeling bad about stuff, give it a shot. You may be surprised what you find and what you're into nowadays. But
I think it's a good place to end on. Let's skip the advertisements for this episode.
Yeah.
skip it.
We're
Next
in
time,
morning, so.
next time you see us in a TTV podcast, it will be the video podcast from Brick Fair, Virginia. That will be the podcast coming up after this. Hopefully, if everything goes off according to plan. You can stay tuned for more discussion there. Maybe we'll have our turnaround there. Maybe that'll give us a boost a little bit because everybody's feeling down right now.
I'm moving from like the place I've grown up, and like so the night Journey the one came out was like Thursday. We had a going away party because it's like me and like 8 of my very like close friends.
Yeah.
So like I literally said goodbye to all my friends. I came home, and then
then
I
you
said
said
goodbye to
goodbye to
freaking say
Bionicle.
goodbye to
I-
Bionicle too.
I do.
It's fairly poetic.
I do have to say, yeah, I was thinking about this the other day when I was writing a post on the message boards. It's like Bionicle, the original Bionicle that I grew up with ended a while ago. But in just a couple days, I'm going to be off, leaving the nest for the first time in my life. I'm going to university, and I do have to say that I have to thank Lego for letting me have a chance to relive my childhood for like one last time before I leave the house. And
Yup.
so.
Yep. No, actually, majority of us are probably going to be moving out pretty soon. So this
Yeah.
it's a symbolic way to send
Bionicle-
things off.
If it had to
and get
happen,
started.
Bionicle as a force and as an entity is never going away. It's just phases come in and come out. And this one, mismanaged though it may be, was certainly fun while it was a thing.
Yeah.
So, to that, I can say at least thanks.
Yeah.
And you know what? Again, Lego did do this for us. So instead of trying to badger them for things, like obviously we want the instructions and what have you, but go ahead
yeah.
and tweet them thank you. Say thanks for the last 2 years, 15 years, all of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And with that, let's
All
end.
right. Let's go ahead and end this episode of the TTV podcast. Longest one maybe ever?
Not ever. No, yeah, not ever. We've done way longer.
When Bionicle's coming
All
back.
right, well, either way. Either way, thanks very much for listening. We'll try to have some more fun content for you coming up. Stay tuned. Next week's going to be great. Thank you very much for watching and for following us all these years. I'm Meso.
I'm Barteran.
I'm Eljay.
I'm John.
And I'm Ven.
And farewell, everybody. See you next time.
And farewell to you, Bionicle.
God bless
Rest in
you.
peace.
God bless America. Yeah, Meso 2016.
Lego
Unless-
is Danish!
Oh, well.
Journey
Bye.
to Dawn.
Let's go cry now.